All right, so a firm managing roughly $1.5 trillion just launched an XRP exchange traded fund. And this is not a crypto company. This is a retirement money manager, the kind that runs the funds sitting inside of millions of 401ks. And I'm going to explain why that specific type of firm arriving matters more than the size of the number, and how you should be thinking about your own position because of it. Now, I'm Camilla Stevenson, and around here we talk wealth. Go ahead and like the video and subscribe if you have not already. Don't forget, hit that like button. I'm going to say it twice, 3 times. Hit that like button. And I share this information not for the purpose of financial advice, but for educational and entertainment purposes only. Now, let me know in the comments if you think ETFs are good for XRP, or do you think they're bad for XRP? I've heard some mixed reviews on that, and I would love to know what you think about that. Are they good or are they bad? And if they are good, let's see what you're holding. All right. Are you holding any XRP ETFs? All right. Now, let me start with an exchange traded fund and help you to know what it first of all is, because a lot of people still don't know what an ETF is. I get that question a lot, and so I like to address some of the questions that I get. Well, an ETF is a fund that trades on a stock exchange like a single share. So when you buy a share of a spot XRP ETF like XRP Canary, right, you're buying a slice of a pool of actual XRP that the fund holds in custody. So they do hold the actual XRP in a custody that's connected to the funds, right? But you don't hold the coins, and you do not have the wallet, the seed phrase, or the exchange account, or any of that. You own a security that represents that XRP and sits in your brokerage account next to your stocks, okay? So sometimes that could sound like a downgrade to anyone who values self-custody, and in one sense it is. You cannot send it, you cannot use it, you're trusting a custodian, but that structure is the entire point because of who it unlocks, okay? There's an enormous pool of money in the world that is legally forbidden from buying XRP directly. Pension funds, endowments, corporate retirement plans, and registered investment advisors operate under mandates that specify what they may hold. Okay, so many of them cannot custody a digital asset or cannot open up an exchange account and cannot hold anything that is not a registered security trading on a regulated exchange. It is not that they're unwilling, they're just not allowed. Man, that would make me so awfully sad. I would almost have to quit my job if I couldn't do that, if I couldn't buy XRP. But they do have the option of the ETF, and an ETF turns XRP into something that their rule book recognizes. So it's the same asset underneath, it's just a different wrapper, and the wrapper is what the gatekeeper checks. Now, here's why this particular launch is different from the ones that came before it. The early crypto ETF issuers were crypto native firms. So their whole business is digital assets. So launching an XRP product is what you would expect from them. It signals conviction, but it does not signal much about the wider financial system. A firm managing around $1.5 trillion is mostly traditional retirement money, and that's a different kind of a signal, right? That business is built on conservative, long horizon capital, and their clients are people saving for retirement through employer plans and advisors. So firms like that do not launch products to chase a trend, because the reputational cost of a bad product with that client base is very severe. So they launch when their compliance department has cleared it, when their legal team is comfortable, and when their distribution network says advisors are actually asking. That last part is the real part of the story that you need to understand, right? A firm like that launching an XRP product means their advisors have been receiving the question often enough to now justify building an answer for that question. But I do want to be clear about what an ETF does and does not do for the price, okay? Because this is where people get some of their expectations wrong. And a lot of people thought when we got the ETFs, automatically everything was going to pump. It plays an indirect story to the supply, because yes, as the ETFs are being bought, then it does take away some of the XRP supply because it is attached to that ETF. And so when a spot ETF sees net buying, the fund has to acquire the underlying asset, which is, again, a genuine demand for that XRP. But ETF flows go both directions, and they're not permanent, right? Money that arrived through a brokerage can also leave through the same brokerage on a bad week. And XRP funds have already seen weeks of outflows alongside their inflow streaks as well. And yes, they've had 8 weeks of straight inflows, even while XRP was at the lowest number in 19 months. So that's a good sign. But an ETF is a door, right? It doesn't necessarily guarantee traffic and it doesn't guarantee a direction, but it does take away some of the supply. And what it also guarantees is access. And access, once granted, does not usually get revoked. Okay, so that door stays open through cycles, and every year more advisors get comfortable walking through that door. So how should you be positioning around this as you understand where we are in this process, in this environment, as it pertains to XRP and digital assets? Well, understand that the buyer base for XRP is changing shape right underneath you. If you don't see it because you staring at the chart, I don't know what to tell you. But there's so much going on that should help you to stand strong in your conviction and not be fudded out of this, right? For most of XRP's history, the price was often set by crypto native participants, which means it moved on sentiment, it moved on leverage, and it moved on speed. As more of the ownership moves into retirement vehicles and advisor allocated portfolios, you are adding a slower, stickier kind of holder who rebalances quarterly instead of reacting hourly like a trader. And so what that does is it changes the character of the market that you're participating in. And it usually means the eventual moves are driven less by a weekend on social media and more by allocation decisions made in meetings. Okay. So we got to understand what these moves will represent and who is representing the moves, which brings me to something that you really need to pay attention to for yourself. So Wall Street just made XRP available inside the accounts where Americans keep their retirement money. If institutions have decided this belongs in a long-term retirement wrapper, ask yourself why your own position is not in one if you don't have one. And so you may want to consider holding a portion of your XRP inside of a long-term retirement account, especially that is tax-free. That's why I hold a long-term portion of my XRP inside of a Roth IRA through ITRUST Capital, where my XRP and my Quan and my XLM and my HBAR and other digital commodities, and along with metals, I got metals in that account as well. I know that as things appreciate, I won't have to pay anything back to the government, right? So there are structures now in place for retirement funds, and one of the best retirement funds is a tax-free one. So if you don't have that, I would really suggest looking into opening up a tax-free account where you can invest in these digital commodities and you can wait for them to have an appreciation period, which they will. That is my own biased opinion. Okay. Nothing I say is financial advice, but I believe that you will get a huge ROI. I think cryptocurrency is one of the best investments that you can make right now in this environment, period. I love physical metals as well. And so I have both of them in the same account, in the same retirement account. Now, if you open up an account with them using the link in the description, they will give you a $100 funding bonus when you open up the account. And listen, you can take that money and you can invest it in more assets. It's free money. And I appreciate them for doing that for my community. So again, the link is in the description. And if you are someone holding XRP in regular accounts or it's spread across, 5 different exchanges and cold wallets and hot wallets, and, you don't know what to do with everything because everything is kind of scattered and you don't know how to structure it and you don't know how to rebalance or reallocate it in a way that makes sense for your own personal goals, then that is the exact situation that we help to bring you clear on in my clarity calls. That's what they're built for. We get you organized. We get you a game plan, a blueprint that you can follow and make sure that you're structured for financial freedom and protection. Okay. Because this is all about who you're going to pass this on to. Right. And so you want to protect that. And if you got leaks and if you don't have a good, clear game plan, then that's going to matter for you. And also, if you're not educated on what structure looks like and how to form it, then honestly, sometimes people will take advantage of you. Lawyers and estate planners and, financial advisors, they take advantage of you if you're not educated. So the best thing you can do for yourself, because you are your greatest asset, is you should invest in you to be able to be educated, because you are the CEO of your entire financial blueprint, your entire financial game plan. And you can't be positioned out of this. You can't trust that somebody else is going to have your best interest in mind. No, you got to take the wheel yourself. And if you have not taken the wheel yet, then it's time to do that. Again, the link is in the description for that. I want you to know, listen, that the gatekeepers, they are opening up the gate. We got to pay attention to exactly what's happening, right? There's a lot going on. And you have to figure out for your own self whether you are set up to walk through the other side on better terms or worse terms. And I want you to be on the right side of this. I'm in it for the win, and I want you to be in it for the win. And listen, we can also win together. And as always, I want you to stay wise, stay wealthy, and I'll see you in the next video.